right, welcome back to Mastering Risk, the podcast. I am your host, Dr. D. Today, we are going to talk about what is the purpose, what is the intent, and why do we do this thing called risk management, preparedness, business continuity, solo entrepreneurs, family, small businesses. Like, why are we trying to put order into chaos? We'll get down to it. So turn around, grab yourself your favorite beverages. Let's get at it. All right, thanks again for joining us. Listen, last week's episode, not a lot of traffic on it. And this sometimes happens. I thought that setting out, the 3 top rules or the 3 easy rules that are free of charge, things that you can do that are 100% within your capacity to start reducing uncertainty and placing order into chaos. I thought that was a really interesting topic. I thought everybody would be raking at the coals to grab it. It's one of the worst performing podcast episodes we've done here at Mastering Risk. That's okay. The beauty, and it teaches and talks about a lesson of entrepreneurship. A lot of times you're going to fail, and you're going to fail often, and sometimes you're going to fail quite profoundly. All of that is there to teach you a lesson. Yes, there's a negative side to it, but there's an absolute unquestioned positive side to failure. It's something we never celebrate enough of. It's something we high-five each other. The reason bankruptcies exist on the small business and corporate size is, at times, great ideas are unsuccessful. Irrespective of how much work has gone into it and how much intelligent design and thought went into creating this incredible endeavor that you thought would change the world, or at least become a going concern that would replace your income, even potentially, if not just supplement your income. And it goes bankrupt because it's unsuccessful. Companies are supposed to go bankrupt, and pretty often and quite regularly. Going bankrupt is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that the market did not pan out the way you thought it. Now, there probably are contributing factors like first 2 designs I made of Preparedness Labs Incorporated. Neither one was successful. The first one was, incredibly unsuccessful. It was my first endeavor into entrepreneurship. I didn't understand it very well. I went in it with a kick the door down army officer mentality. And the problem that I had is that I didn't really understand what I was trying to do. I didn't understand the problem that my clients had. And I was trying to create something that they didn't want. In essence, I created the perfect solution to a problem people didn't have, threw thousands of dollars after it, and then kind of sat there and wondered why it was absolutely and utterly unsuccessful. And this is one of the things that happens in entrepreneurship, and we don't celebrate it enough, right? We're going to fail. We may even go bankrupt on iterations, and at times we may throw more and more cash in our business. I mean, I know lots of friends who are entrepreneurs who have thrown thousands of dollars of additional capital into their business. There are entrepreneurs that I know who have a small payroll to meet, and they've taken a $5,000 cash advance off of their personal credit card to dump it into their accounting program, QuickBooks, so that they can make their payroll. It happens a lot in business. People are extending, and hoping. I mean, the biggest example of that we have is Amazon. Amazon, for the first 17 years, lost money. It was an unsuccessful company that was bleeding money it didn't have. And when it ran out of money, people threw more money at it. They kept recapitalizing that company because they knew at some point in the future it would turn profitable. And when it did, the ROI, the return on the current investment, including all the losing cash for share, worked out, which is why a guy like Jeff Bezos starts it at 100% ownership, and by time it went profitable, he was left with 16. He literally sold over 80% of the shares and ownership in the business for cash infusion because people believed in what he was doing. Somebody gave him $1 billion. He burned through that in 2 years. There's no money left, but he handed over a percentage of his business because people believed the future. And he kept doing that, and now he's profitable. And now his 16, the very small number of shares that he owns in the company, as well as all the other shares that went to all the other people, did exceptionally exceptionally well. And I think it's really important that we understand we need to celebrate failure as much and as strange as that sounds. So why do we think about risk management? Why do we think about preparedness? Why do we think about emergency preparedness? Why do we think about business continuity and mitigating downstream risk on our third-tier supplier network? All of this is about placing order into chaos. Markets, when you think of business markets in the economic term sense, hate uncertainty. They love certainty. Now, it can be a certainty kind of chaos. In other words, there's a lot of players coming and going, and there's many moving pieces, and a whole bunch of different things can happen. But the rules of the game, and we talked about this last week, as one of our 3 top things, is understanding the rules of the game. If the rules of the game, the market in which you're in, are crystal clear, that creates certainty. Now, you may be successful or fail, but you absolutely know the terms and conditions and the rules, the game that you're playing. It's like playing Monopoly. You can get really good and understand the rules and leverage the rules, but sometimes even playing by the rules and following all the rules, you're going to lose the game of Monopoly. Because sometimes things and plays you make, like dice rolling and decisions to buy, sell, or whatever, don't work out for you. And sometimes that's true. So what we're trying to do is create a bit of certainty. Now, the reason we created Inside My Canoe had the precursor to the Mastering Risk podcast, and why we have our YouTube series, and why we have all of the material that we put out for free on our website at preparednesslabs.ca, is because we are living in a decade, and this is why I started the company Preparedness Labs Incorporated in July of 2020, in the height of the beginning of pandemic, government reactions, lockdowns, and a whole bunch of other things that were happening that created a great deal of uncertainty. I understood and saw how utterly unprepared the entire world was for a pandemic, let alone any disruption. Now, the disruption happened to be a pandemic, but a significant disruption of this scale sent so many people scrambling. Very few of them had an actionable, ideal strategy on where to pivot to. Very few people had savings. How many people do you know that immediately had to go to some form of government assistance to pay their bills? Like, they were literally even a month or two of no income, and that they would totally economically collapse. People made the choice to live that kind of life. And I know that statement drives people nuts, but they did. And so people were totally unprepared. So when you look at the world around us as we exist right now, we live in a world of political, economic, and natural disasters. They seem to be more frequent. They seem to be more severe. And there's a whole bunch of causation factors, from the changing climate to political leaders to tariff fights to wars across borders to mass immigration problems to climate migration and a whole bunch of other issues that are real and actual and are impacting the world around us, none of which we have control over. And that's the key, right? All of those things I just described, political, economic, natural disasters, none of us have control over that. Zero. We can't influence it. We can make all the jokes about crazy colored-haired people and the weird thing that they're doing and the decisions people are making and the memes that politicians are creating and putting out on the internet and these marches around cities. Like, all of that is great, but we can't change a thing about what's going on. What we do here at Mastering Risk, and our raison d'etre, is to give you the tools to mitigate that to the greatest extent possible, accepting the fact that you'll never mitigate it to zero. There's absolutely no way to mitigate risk to zero. Absolutely the same way as there's no way to buy equipment and spend money and buy things, whatever tool that you might have. You can't buy your way to preparedness. It's absolutely impossible to spend money and increase levels of preparedness. The idea that we have is to lay this out in very clear and simple terms. And I find it a note of intelligence and a note of knowledge. When you can explain your craft to a 5-year-old and have them understand it, then you know your craft well enough. Here's a great example. When I was a staff officer in the military, we would have briefing notes that would go up to commanders to make decisions. We often, or hardly ever, me personally, the subject matter expert, was never going to be in the room to have a conversation. This 2 pages, 12 font, 1-inch margins with very specific headlines was all I got. And if I couldn't take a big, complex, and complicated issue and simplify it to a 2-page, 12 font, 1-inch margin briefing note, then the problem was mine because I didn't know my area of expertise well enough. You'll hear it all the time. People will stand up at a microphone and tell you whatever their issue is, whatever situation, whatever area of policy they're referring to. It's complicated, it's complex, it involves multi-stakeholders, it's multifaceted. You'll hear all of these buzzwords. I have yet to come across a situation that was not simple. I didn't say it was easy, but I said it was simple. And so what we do in all of our products that we have for sale over at preparednesslabs.ca and the material that we put out for free, check our catalog at the top of the website, is we take what people profess to you to be complex, complicated, all kinds of interrelated, complex, multiple stream theory from Kingdon, whatever policy framework you want to use. And they tell you you don't understand because of how complex and complicated this is, a multi-agency. There's so many actors in the space. All of this, for the vast majority of the people who are speaking, is a justification exercise for their and their office's existence. You know, I need to have this big overarching overseeing organization because of the multifaceted, complex, and interrelated and interdisciplinary nature of what we're trying to address here. I'll tell you, I think that's a load of horse, you know what? It's BS. If you cannot simplify what you're talking about to basic human language at the grade 5 level to a 5-year-old, and what you're typing and putting online, pull it into Microsoft Word or any word processor that you have, run an AI on it, and it'll tell you what the grade level of your language is. If your grade level is above 5, you don't know your subject matter well enough. You do not have the ability to properly communicate what you're trying to say. Using simple language and putting very basic steps in a simple roadmap to answer and solve a well-understood problem is success. That's what people who know what they're doing do. That's what experts do. That's what we do here at Mastering Risk. And our goal is to lay that out. So in the field of preparedness, we have our Master Adopt a Prepared Life course, the foundational course, and a bunch of other additional modules that'll all be rolling out in the next 2 weeks. We have our Managing Risk, the course, which is targeted at small and medium businesses, how to understand the risk environment and operating in an online environment, and how to understand your reputational, your cyber, your strategic, and your operational risk. As well, on top of that, we have a new product coming out, which is called our Business Continuity for Solo Entrepreneurs. This is for those incredibly talented and amazing people who are starting an Etsy store, a print-on-demand store, who created an online course and want to sell it, or they're an author and they wrote an ebook and they self-publish on Amazon. How do you set that up to mitigate risk to the greatest extent possible without having to go out and hire a $5,000 consultant, right? Our consulting services at Preparedness Labs Incorporated for a small and medium business for a full end-to-end spectrum, they start at $8,000 a year. Most solo entrepreneurs and SMBs don't have that, and they're not looking for that. So we created these courses at a very low price point to provide for them real and simplistic. And that's it. If I can't explain the problem in simple terms, and I can't lay out a simple roadmap to address that, then I don't know the material well enough, and I shouldn't be here. On top of that, I have to be able to explain to you why me. Why do I believe I'm the person that can best help you with this problem set you're having? We've been studying, and myself included here at Preparedness Labs Incorporated, individual small business continuity. So small and medium businesses, how they operate on their own. Your mom and pop type shops, generally under $1 million top line revenue, 2 to 10 employees. And household preparedness. We've been studying those for well over a decade. I personally have published well over 1,000 pages of literature on these two subjects. We call it, our moniker here at Preparedness Labs Incorporated is non-apocalyptic, evidence-based risk, resilience, and preparedness education. And that simply means the sky is not falling. Yeah, she's getting spicy out there, my friends. Political, economic, natural disasters are going through the roof. Frequency, severity, the cost, etc. It's becoming a very chaotic and a less certain environment in which to operate for yourself, your family, your solo entrepreneur, or your small and medium business. That is real. And that is happening to everyone who's out there trying to make it ahead. And if you're if you're an employee like I was for decades of a bigger company, you want to be aware of the threats and the things that are happening to your company. And knowing that out there means the world's going to still tick. It's just going to be spicy. So the sky's not falling. Non-apocalyptic, the sky's not falling. Sorry for those people that are telling you to sell everything and go live in a yurt, buy some off-grid, get a dry cabin. Those people are wonderful. Have a great day if that's what you want. But that's not really preparedness or building resilience. Evidence-based means everything that I put on this podcast, everything that I write in my Substack, everything that I put out in my books, and everything that are in the course is grounded in theoretical evidence. It's not what I think, it's not what I believe, and it's not my opinion. Frank, nobody could care less what my opinion is, right? Frankly, they shouldn't. What I tell you is evidence-based, which means it's backed up by information and data that says when people do X, there's a higher probability of Y occurring. Not that I believe, you hear preppers all the time on YouTube will say, here's the top 10 things to buy. If I had $1,000, here's what you spend it on. And oh, by the way, just in case you're wondering, I've got an affiliate link over here. I say, okay, I'm not going to dispute. You've got a great list there. Please show me the evidence upon which you've based that list and the order you've put it in and the value you've said. What proof do you have that if I did this, I would have a higher level of preparedness? And I don't want your opinion, and I don't want your belief. That I don't care about. Yeah, and I'm a 28-year Army veteran, so please don't try to tell me simply because you were in the Army that you have some weird force above you that makes you some kind of preparedness guru or not, okay? I did it too, and that doesn't exist. That's VES, Veteran Entitlement Syndrome, but that's a different conversation altogether. Okay? Show me the evidence. I can show you the evidence. I have the evidence. I back up what I say with actual and real things. And so that's the difference that we have here at Mastering Risk and Preparedness Labs Incorporated. We're simply trying to say, based upon over a decade of research, and knowing that the world is not collapsing, but it's going to continue to be spicy, and understanding that you want to protect your family, you want to reduce the chaos, you want to reduce stress, reduce anxiety, and put a little bit more certainty and have a greater control over risk, here's a roadmap of evidence-based steps that you can take that the vast majority of them are free. A few might cost a small amount, but that can be collectivized, which means many people can do in on that. You can run a whole bunch of different ideas and strategies. You can build a community, and for nominal cost, if not almost zero, you can increase your risk mitigation. You can lower your stress so that you, your family, your small business, your solo entrepreneurial, or the company you work for goes forward. It's a simple, hey, you can say, I don't have a side hustle. I don't want to sell courses online. I just want my job to be safe. Great. What about your business? Does your business have a preparedness plan? Does your business have a business continuity plan? What is your business's plan when they get cyber hacked and taken down off the internet? Because according to the U.S. Small Business Administration, 40% of businesses who do reopen after a collapse don't ever close within a year. So those that fail but reopen, 40% of them don't even make it a year. It's catastrophic out there, what's happening to small and medium businesses. And if you don't own one, or you're not a shareholder in one, but you're an employee in one, I'm going to strongly advise that you have this same type of conversation with the people that own your company. Because by you helping them become more resilient, by you helping them address risk and a number of other things, what you're going to do is improve your life, reduce your own stress, and improve the probability that you actually stay employed the next time a major event happens. Because it's in it for you, right? You have a job, you feed your family, you take care of your family. You and your spouse together, or one of you may do all the work. Outside the house, it doesn't matter. You have the possibility of reducing the stress on your life and increasing the probability that your job, whether you own it or you're employed, is going to be there the month after the next disruption. Think of all the incredible, wonderful, amazing people who were doing great work at healthy companies that were fired in a heartbeat as soon as the pandemic came around. How many of them had rock solid pivot plans? How many of them knew exactly what they would do when they got fired? So they had their day, they had their pity party, their 24-hour cry fest. They got up the next day, they pulled out their pivot plan, they enacted it, and within a month or two, they were back up and earning a similar income in a different field. How many people had that? Very few, which is why so many had to go running to the government for help to stay afloat. The government bailed out most. But what if next time they don't? What if next time the loss is so large that there is no money in the government? Is it somebody else's fault, or is it your fault to take care of what you're responsible for, be it people, place, organization, and business? That's what we do. We're trying to put more certainty, reduce the chaos, and give you a very simple roadmap. So again, the world's full of people saying it's complex, complicated, integrated, etc. I'm going to call that a load of BS. If you can't simplify it to a grade 5 level presentation that a 5-year-old can understand on a 2-page briefing note, then you have no business speaking to that subject whatsoever. So I hope this was helpful. I hope the raison d'etre will be launching a whole suite of new products and a whole great offer starting it off over the next 2 weeks. By the middle of November, it's going to be amazing here at preparednesslabs.ca. If you do nothing else, drop to our website. If you go up to the top and you click on catalog, sort by price, you'll see all of our free stuff. Tons of free stuff that is there for you to download, to follow. You don't have to leave us any money. Just take all the free stuff. Follow us on all our social media feeds. We're on all 5 major social media networks, shorts. On average, in a normal week, we put somewhere about 300 individual pieces of content out. All of it free. All of it our mission to give you the best possible evidence-based information, to mitigate against risk, to provide, to build that trust. Because for me to ask you to invest in a product our company has, I have to first prove to you, number one, that I know what I'm talking about, and I have to earn your trust. I have to gain your trust. Trust is not automatic, nor should trust come as part of a position. Don't simply trust somebody because they have an authoritative title or a cute little uniform, or even better, a polo with a nice crest on it. No. Trust is earned over time, and it's my duty and responsibility to earn your trust before I can expect you to invest in your future with us. So thanks again for joining us here at Mastering Risk. Drop over our website, www.preparednesslabs.ca. Take care, and we'll see you next week.